Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Freed. Alongside of me, we've got a whole staff here. We got Lisa Lawson from Capital. Hey, Lisa, we'll get that mic up there. All right, we got you, Lisa. Doug Andrus, Keller Williams.
Good morning.
All right, Keller Williams, Lakeside. Of course, you bring in one of your top teams out there. We've got Jacques and the Gagnon team. How are you, Jacques?
I'm good. How's everybody doing today?
Fantastic. You hear that feedback on one of these guys. We'll figure out that. Is it okay? Maybe Harry can pull down his mic on there. We got Harry Glanz back at home on the Zoom broadcast here.
Morning, guys. Look, got the Lions shirt on. I don't know if you can see the Lions shirt on. We got a big draft coming up, and that's always our Super Bowl here in Detroit, right? We got the draft, so here we go. Go Lions.
Harry, I'm glad you brought some sports into it. Last week, of course, you were saluting your great, the legendary Al Kaline, and you had your picture up. Not everyone could see it because we're not doing the Facebook Live thing, but a salute to all the Detroit heroes, of course, and we got maybe some sports coming up, Doug. I mean, it is a Detroit's a sports town. We love talking real estate and mortgages for an hour, but definitely Detroit's a real sports town, and we're excited to, and maybe another month or two, we can start seeing the horizon, maybe to get something back going here. Jacques, what's going on out there?
You know, it's a little different right now, but real estate is still moving. Active listings, active buyers. There's a different way of doing business, but we're still doing business, and things are going to continue to get better and better each day.
Yeah, exactly. We're moving in a great way with, of course, the Get Back to Work is going to be with us till May 1st. Real estate agents can't show homes like they used to, but not a problem for a lot of buyers out there, sight unseen buyers out there. Americans have always gone back and forth to a property. Say the average, National Association of Realtors says the average time that someone goes out looking for homes is about 9 different times. But now you can do everything virtually.
Yeah. So, you know, before all this, we've been doing this with relocations our entire existence. So you can pick your spouse online. You can pick your house.
That's for sure.
Now, we said that about a month ago.
I think
we actually said that about a month ago.
You get credit. You will get credit on it.
Give you some credit on that one.
Yeah, we said it a month ago because it is a new way of doing business. And I'm going to tell you what, we've been doing business now from our house for we're going on 6 weeks. We're an electronic business. We can do it. It's a little hard because we love the face-to-face contact. We pride ourselves on that personal contact. But just like you said, Josh and Doug, you just have to find a different way to do business that you can communicate with people in all different ways. And we've been preaching that for 2, 3, 4, 5 years now.
Hey, well, the consumer is well trained. You know, they've been doing everything online for a long time. Adapting it to housing, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. If you could pick a partner online, you could certainly pick a house online.
Yeah, actually, the National Association of Realtors said that 25% of the buyers had not actually physically seen the property in person. So it's interesting that what was been happening, technology moved us forward a couple of years ago. So as this hit, families are ready to go, Jacques. Now, we got the inspectors going back out. They are allowing inspectors and appraisers are going back out to the property. So we've got buyers and sellers. It's sort of business as usual.
Yeah, it is. So you can still put an offer in. There's some contingencies in place. There's some things that you have to put in your paperwork, but you can still have the property inspected. The buyer can be with the inspector as long as all parties do agree. So we're getting back to some type of normalcy, and good agents will definitely be able to help your buyers and sellers out.
Yeah, we always want a good feel of what's going on out there in Southeast Michigan particularly. And the inventory was great. I mean, we've had our best quarter. Doug, it was gangbusters. I think it was 2.5% even better than in 2019.
But the big concern I think that Jacques and I were talking about is what's going to happen with the changes in the mortgage underwriting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's been in the big news, and several of the big players have said we're going to raise the credit score. We're going to make sure that we have at least 20% down, and FHA is backing off on different things.
Nope. So
Harry,
Doug,
tell us more.
Yeah, let me go like this with you, okay? When you talk about big lenders, I can't speak to which big lender that you're talking about, but I can speak to what banks are doing. And because most banks are publicly traded and all banks have to be FDIC regulated and have to take care of consumers' money and have to be insured, what banks have done is they've scaled back on what they're doing. So that doesn't apply to everybody, but I will say everybody's had to make some modifications. So there are lenders that are doing loans that banks are not doing.
Right.
So we have to be careful throwing that blanket
Yep.
and over everybody. So the best thing you can do is you can call specific lenders, get 2 or 3 opinions. It's like, you need 2 or 3 opinions anyways. If somebody's shopping for a mortgage, you shop for a mortgage, you get 2 or 3 opinions. So you got to find out what lender's doing what. I can tell you this, if you have a 585 credit score, it might be tougher for you.
Right.
But at certain lenders, if you have a 660 credit score, they're not going to be able to do you, but we can take care of it. There are certain lenders that you're not right now going to get a jumbo loan from. I don't care who you are, where you go. You're not going to get a loan over 510. It's not going to happen. But then there'll be some places where you can get 509, 999, okay? And you could have a 700 credit score and proceed with, you could put 10% down. So not everybody's asking for 20% down. So now more than ever, you have to have somebody in your corner that really knows the market. You should always have that, but there are specific nuances right now that in particular people have to know. And I can tell you this, that we are seeing a lot of places call us and say, hey, I've got a client that I can't help. Can you take care of this client?
Right.
Exactly.
And by the way, we're happy for that referral. We're happy to take care of that client for you. And then when business gets back to normal, everybody's back on the same playing field. There really is nobody should be thinking of somebody as a competitor now. We should all be trying to think of how we can help each other. And we are. I have other lenders call me every day. Hey, can you guys do this? Can you guys do that? So I'm pretty happy about that. But we have to be careful that we don't say all lenders can't do certain things.
Exactly. Well, that's the point that I wanted to bring out, because these headlines that people see, be it on the big media sites, they go to the business for CNBC or Fox or whatever, and they hear about Chase, and they hear about these other people that are doing these things. They just read the first paragraph and they don't understand the big picture. That's why I'm glad you did that, Harry. Thank you.
Right. More than ever is communication important and your team important. And again, as Harry mentioned, you usually get 1 or 2 opinions on a mortgage transaction anyways. You should be working to get your pre-approval ahead of time. Yeah, there's some mention that, Doug, let's not gloss over it. Right. There's no doubt that there's going to be some changes, and we've seen the changes. Higher credit scores. We were getting everyone approved, let's say 600 and above on an FHA mortgage. That's not going to be the case anymore. They're going to be looking at the ratios. They're going to be changing their models, and they already have made these changes. Ginnie Mae and the underwriting guidelines are making changes now.
Another one that we're working on, and it's getting more popular, is electronic signatures. You only have to go to a closing and have 6 people in a small room. And right now, shout out to all our title companies who are doing a great job with separating the rooms and keeping things clean. But contactless closings. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. They're keeping pace with everything. Jacques, you might want to jump in here with the establishing a plan with your touring of these homes, virtual tours, 3D tours, FaceTime. Sellers now, and your sellers can actually sell their own home, and it gives them an opportunity to walk around with the phone.
Piggyback on that. What do you do to the person who says, I'm not buying a house until I physically go there? Like, they're too nervous. They don't want to put an offer in a house. They don't want to do this until they physically go in there. They want to feel it. How do you deal with that?
So, there are some buyers out there that are not comfortable with the changes and doing things virtually.
Sure.
The reality is you have to communicate with your buyer and let them know that there are opportunities available. You can put offers in, but they are contingent upon a physical walkthrough.
There you go.
Now,
so they don't necessarily have to have a whole inspection. There's a separate contingency for physical walkthrough in addition to the inspection.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you want to put offers in and lock the property down, or at least have the property pending until things change, there are opportunities out there for buyers to do that. There is a lot of things that we don't discuss or we don't see on the media that give buyers advantages and sellers right now that we can continue to keep this market flowing.
Everyone's in the same boat. All right, we come back. Let's sort of figure out a couple different ways we can get through all of this. 248-539-9797. Keep it here. All righty, there's Jim back. 9:15. Would you believe it? This is gonna be a gorgeous one. 54 degrees out there, April 18th. It's a springtime home buying season. We're just talking about different ways here on the Hardcore Mortgage Show to buy that house or to sell that house. Again, I'd like to hear from you. 248-539-9797. We are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Always powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289. And guys, it's spring out there. And I hope one of these days here, we all can go back to normal. But for today, even do the separation, the distancing, do all that thing. But if you want to buy a house, Jacques, we've been in this conversation this morning about really it's been business as normal. And Doug, you said that your hits on your listings are up, over 1,000%?
People are shopping, and they've become really used to shopping for homes. It used to be they look for a realtor, help me find a home. Now they find the home, look for the realtor. That's what's going on. And so more than ever, the video tours, the ways that people are looking at homes, it's there and they're doing it like never before. I am extremely overwhelmed by the pent up demand and the surge that's going to happen as soon as this is lifted.
Yeah,
oh, that's absolutely right. That's right.
Last week alone from this lockdown here, I'm getting more and more phone calls. Yesterday alone, off of 3 or 4 of my listings, I've got almost 20 phone calls from potential buyers, people that are interested in looking at the home. People are pent up. They want to look at different walls at some point when this is all over with. I'm hearing a lot.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It's already April 20th as of Monday, So again, a nice, gorgeous weekend here. Maybe there'll be some offers. We're right around the corner from hopefully getting things moving in the right direction. Housing inventory. Harry always wants to talk about what's going on out there in the marketplace locally. Appraisals, of course. There's only 3 reasons why people typically don't close on a house: an appraisal issue, a home inspection issue, or maybe a financing problem. How are appraisals right now, Jacques? Doug, if you guys can mention, are you seeing a lot of back and forth with a little bit of negotiation? What's it been like out there?
I have to say, so the last 5 closed deals I've had with my team, we haven't had any issues with appraisals.
Great.
They do come about sometimes, though, and that's going to happen, I think, more and more as we see a little bit change in the market and inventory levels.
We've got a slowdown, so there's going to be a little bit less comps to pull from. We started about, a few weeks ago. By the time this is over, we're probably going to have 6, 8, possibly 12 weeks of slowdown where there'd be very few sales. And if anybody knows what comps are about, you're trying to look at the most recent sales.
Yeah, and then it's going to take, Lisa, then it's going to take a little time to catch up. And
right.
I agree with Jacques right now. Everybody knows there's going to be a pent up demand. People are going to want to get out. People are going to want to start buying houses again, inject life into the economy again. And you're going to see houses, to coin a retail phrase, fly off the shelf. And that's what's going to happen. One of my main concerns are, Lisa, as you pointed out, because there's going to be a lag in this, what are the houses going to come in at? And this is where realtors and lenders have to work together to understand that is a common sense issue. We bring it up so cavalier because we do it 1,000 times a day, but we have to make sure that everybody's on the same page, that when purchase agreements are flying back and forth again, and they will, because there is a pent-up demand, like Jacques said, that we understand the comps, helping the appraiser find the best comps, and taking a look at what's going on in the market currently. Not what happened 6, 8, 10 months ago or a year ago, but what the current market looks like. And again, people ask me, what keeps me up at night? There are a lot of things that keep me up at night, like the guy down sitting to your left, Doug. He keeps me up at night. But the bottom line is that we have to make sure that we're all working together. And when you work together, you get more accomplished, especially on the appraiser, realtor, lender end.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a lot of excitement coming up. New construction, of course, in March was down. It took it on the chin pretty severely, down 22% from February. Haven't seen those kind of low numbers since 1984. Home construction stocks reflected it, there's no doubt. But we'll see some huge comeback. Nothing like getting out there and looking at a new home and all the new designs and definitely a new construction. You want to walk through that place. Yeah.
We're not seeing as many short. We're seeing now, because there are some good deals out there, appraisals that are over.
Oh, okay.
Value.
Oh, okay. So maybe there were some buyers' opportunities.
Some really good opportunities out there.
Right, a cookie cutter subdivision. Again, there's a lot of times when we're in a subdivision, everything's been built up. It's an existing 5 or 10 year subdivision. What all the homes are selling for is what your home's going to sell for if you're in that subdivision. Always, we want to say compare your home and that square footage in the same subdivision. Don't fly off the cusp and start. If you have a ranch, well, colonials are different, and if you have a colonial, ranchers are going to be different. Again, we usually have our yeah. Yeah, we like that. And again, always, I like what Harry talked about, really, because communication, Doug, we talk about it all the time, is that bond between having a great team. And Jacques, you mentioned it, your team's had great success with appraisals and getting deals closed. And then you want to salute the title companies out there for, again, part of the team and making sure purchases are working in the right direction. All right, mortgage rates always on the move. This week was sort of interesting as they sort of teamed up with the bonds. We haven't seen that in a couple of weeks. Lenders are definitely not yet back to their lowest level. So if you're thinking about refinancing, contact us at Capital Mortgage Funding. Definitely get the right information. We've been floating clients down to these lowest possible interest rates. And boy, a lot of smiles on their faces this past week. So definitely call Capital 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. But nothing, I don't like to circle back to first-time home buyers, because I think we're going to get a lot of these families right back out there. And that same gangbuster activity we've had over the last couple of years, Jacques, I think it's there. It's just waiting for us here, whether it's at May 31st or June 15th. And again, slowly as we get back in a thing, it's going to be gangbusters in multiple bids.
Absolutely. I think that we're still going to see multiple offer situations. It's going to happen. You have to make sure that you're working with your client to let them know that there is going to be that out there. This shortcoming is not going to be a huge impact on activity, in my opinion. I think that we might see the demand just surge more than what we anticipated for. And sellers, if you're thinking about selling, get the house in order. You have nothing else to do at home but keep that house clean, get it ready, because somebody's going to want your home.
Yeah, and a seller who's interested in getting the house listed, you could call Jacques, no problem. Call the Gagnon team out of Keller, Lakeside. Definitely, they've got all sorts of great ways that you can get right on your phone and start doing the whole home process. Again, you guys got a couple phones. He's got a whole team here. They can start taking pictures of the rooms and really putting together the plan. And a lot of times you just get someone else to come in there. And again, it's only in a couple of weeks more, you can freshen it all up. So when they walk into your house, they can say to you, wow, this is a really nice presentation. Because nothing like that first presentation, you only get one shot at it, they say. So what a great time to dress up even the front door and the first things you see when you walk up to that drive.
Yep, front door. You landscaping, get out there, start picking those weeds. We've had a lot of moisture over the winter. The sun's shining now, so get out there, clean up the weeds, clean up the beds as much as possible. Inside the house, scrub it down, keep it nice and clean. Get the windows shining, and make sure it shines when people are driving by, because believe it or not, people are driving through subdivisions right now. They see listings, they do drive-bys a lot. Load the kids in the car, get them out of that house. Don't go too crazy. You go check out some houses.
They're not actually going anywhere. They're just staying in their, taking their car rides.
There you go. You can do that.
Jump in the car and get in the car and enjoy a car ride with families. Go look at some houses' exteriors.
Right.
Hey, they got their iPad with them or their phone. They're looking at all the interior shots that you've got on there. So make sure that your realtor has great photos and video of your property.
So if someone decides they want to list their house right now, but they, we're in the middle of this whole stay-at-home order, so they've never had a realtor over, they didn't get pictures. Can a borrower take their own pictures temporarily and send them to you if they're decent? Just curious.
Yeah, so what I did with my latest listing, the seller took all the pictures himself with his iPhone. He's a great guy. He's not the best with technology, but he took them. We have editing software to make them shine, look nice.
Crop them, take out the picture of the kid in the background or whatever you got to do.
Having the mirror or the shining from the lights of the windows and stuff. And I've been getting a lot of compliments on that listing, and it looks professional. So you can do business in this climate while staying safe and staying healthy.
Right. And it doesn't mean that once this is over, if that for some reason they haven't gotten an offer yet, or it's only been 2 weeks, you're not going to go out there and take pictures anyway.
Absolutely. Kind of like as soon as we can, we'll have the companies come in, do the virtual tours, do the Matterport, so you can do the dollhouse imaging. There is a lot of options out there. Just because things have changed doesn't mean things are over.
You can't move forward.
Yeah, we have.
Hey, Jacques, I can tell you this, guys, that my daughter is looking for a house right now. She and her husband, my son-in-law, they get in their car, they drive neighborhoods. They first go online, take a look at what they think that they like, and then they go drive the neighborhood. They drive the exterior of the house, and it becomes a family event, like you said. If you have kids, load the kids in the car. The kids take a look at the house too, because they're going to frame it like that's where we're going to live. Mommy and Daddy are going to buy you a new house, and that's where we're going to live. So
Absolutely.
it can be a fun event right now, and there's all different ways to market it. And that's what's going on right now. Many people are driving and looking at houses and virtual tours and everything like that. That's why I believe in what Jacques said.
Yeah,
There's going to
absolutely.
be a surge as soon as we come out of this.
And actually, don't you think if you're looking now and you're putting an offer out, it might give you a slight edge? Because there are a lot of people who are still afraid of going out. They're not going out. They're not doing these things.
Yeah.
They're waiting. So if you're not waiting, you might have a little bit of an edge. You might get an offer in, right? And your offer might get accepted because there's not as many people out there doing it.
We're up against another break here. 9:26. If you're just joining us, keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Show. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
Keep rocking.
Yep. All righty, welcome back to the show. 9:30. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Got some great guests in here. Doug Andrus, Keller Williams Lakeside. Brings in, of course, Jacques Gagnon and the Gagnon team from Keller Williams Lakeside. Jacques, lots going on out there. But these interest rates, yeah, they're definitely going to spur on this all pent-up demand. They're going to help things really in the right direction. Lisa, we'll talk about refinancing and all that. But let's talk a little bit about the inventory out there. It fell by 14% from January of 2020, of course. Why not? We're all shut down here. But homes under 200,000, boy, if you're a first-time home buyer, get your money together, get some down payment money together. That inventory is down 20%, guys.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that with the idea that we're going to see a pent-up demand, we're going to see possibly multi-offer situations because inventory levels dictate a lot of that.
Yep.
Plus, you add in those interest rates and at those low levels, it gives the first-time home buyer a lot more buying power, and they have a lot better opportunity to land a home that they couldn't possibly see a few years ago.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We
And it's the second home buyers though that are going from the 150 to the 250, and they're anxiously wanting to step up, and so I think you're going to again see a surge of buyers as well as a surge of listings rapidly happen when the gates are open.
Yeah, we always talk about some of the advantages. And of course, Lisa, with the lower interest rates now, we're seeing our families come back and our buyers come back from the last couple of years. One of the things that happens, of course, with real estate is as your homes appreciate anywhere in the world, but more specifically here in Southeast Michigan, your property taxes do go up. And if you bought a house where the family had lived there for a long period of time, you were completely reassessed. And it's a little bite, you know. I mean, if your taxes did go up $1,000, you're looking at $83 more a month. 83 is closer to 100 than 50 is.
Sometimes you got to double that because you have an escrow shortage. So now you're looking at $150, $160 a month. And refinancing can help with that, especially if you're in an escrow shortage, because not only we're resetting your escrows, so you're not making up for that shortage. Your payment's going to drop, and I'm going to guess that depending on when you bought your house, your rate's going to be lower anyway. So we're going to drop your interest rate, fix that situation, and increase your cash flow again.
Yes, and we see a lot of times.
Great point. That's a great point, Lisa, because what's happening is in those escrow shortages, people are going to get hit with a higher payment. They'll have a higher payment at a higher rate. So when you go ahead and refinance your clients, you're not only lowering the rate, but you're resetting the escrow account, and the payment is going to stay stable for a very long time.
Right. And especially if this has happened, post buying a house a couple of years ago, they're not going to reassess it. Someone asked me, isn't this just going to happen again? When I refinanced, I said, no, because the reassessment happens due to the property transfer of ownership. So if you still own the house and you're refinancing, they're not going to come reassess you again. So this is kind of a one and done. We can get this fixed for you so you move forward. You don't have to deal with this again.
Now, we also got Becky Alley on the phone right now. Becky Alley, one of the top 1% of all loan originators in the U.S. Why not?
Hey,
Becky
everybody.
Alley? Our Downriver Connection. I told you, Beck, just stay down there. You didn't need to come in here in the studio. That's all good. What's happening?
Yeah, I'm just hanging out. I miss everyone. I miss being in the studio, obviously. And, kind of point to what you guys are talking about with these refinances. Our clients, we saw this huge influx in rates because the government kind of got overly involved, right, with what was happening. They're trying to do everything to stop the bleeding. Well, now that we're past that point, now we're starting to see, just true to my testament of what I've been telling my clients, is like the middle of this month, we're now seeing this settling down of the rates, right? So now the rates are starting to come back to where they should have been, and they're going to stay there for a little bit. So that way it's going to allow everyone to start capitalizing on this, on these lower rates and get more buying power.
Current homeowners with 4% or higher, definitely give us a phone call. Capital Mortgage, 1-800 low rate. Start the refinance process. The difference is when you call us, though, you're not just shopping interest rate. Again, if you're thinking in your head, I'm going to call and I'm going to ask about that interest rate, you got to scratch that, because what I'm seeing is when families are calling me, we're breaking it down for them. We're talking about debt consolidation. We're talking about more than just your interest rate. We're talking about your long-term plan of your housing. How long are you going to stay in the house? How long will you keep this mortgage?
To speak to what Becky started talking about before, the rates are just now starting to normalize, just now. They will continue to do so. So when you're calling us today, my answer to you is going to be like, we're going to sit on it for a minute. We're going to watch it like a hawk. We're not locking you today. We need to lock you at the best rate possible. So working with someone who's experienced to make sure that you're getting the best rate possible, the best scenario possible, whether it's cash out, debt consolidation, even just rate and term, shortening your term, lowering your payment, whatever the situation may be, dealing with experts who can guide you through that entire process is really what you need to be doing.
Yeah, and to go back to what Doug was saying earlier, remember, there are those guideline changes that have happened. So there are a lot of guideline changes, there are a lot of credit score changes, there are a lot of debt to income ratios. In layperson's terms, when you call us, you're getting somebody like Becky, Harvey, Lisa, our entire staff that know what's happening right now. Real-time changes have occurred in lending, and we could walk you through that.
Yeah.
And not all lenders are the same. So you may have heard from the lender that you called before us that they aren't doing FHA loans at all right now, or if they're 700 FICO to get anything done when you're trying to do a purchase. That is not the case. Not all lenders are the same. We do not have a 700 minimum FICO for purchases, and there's a lot of other things. So make sure you're getting correct information and call around.
All righty. Hey, you're listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Show again. There's been a lot of changes in the mortgage and real estate. Things change on a dime. Boy, right at the end of February and March, we were looking at probably the best quarter that I've ever been involved with. And then sure enough, things can change on a dime. But we're changing. And everyone out there, salute to you for making your changes in your life. And of course, always a salute to all the hardworking people on the front lines right now, taking care of this virus and healing all of our family and friends. Strong approval letters, no doubt, when you're buying a house. And as we talk about all the changes in the mortgage industry, you might have talked to your lender 3 or 4 months ago. Things are different now. You need to revise that approval letter, especially your income taxes were due. You might have finished your tax returns. Now they say different things than they did in 2018. So again, you need to get back in front of a real professional mortgage person. It's key. Jacques, talk about that. Boy, about having strong people like Lisa and I know when you get a real approval letter, it's not a pre-approval. Pre-approvals can really be disaster sometimes.
Absolutely. So
Pre-quals, right?
yeah, pre-qualifications compared to pre-approvals. The reality is that if you are just entering information online and you're not speaking with anybody, you are not under any scrutiny to actually be approved. It's just an idea. It's just a general idea. If 4 months ago you were pre-approved, you have to reach out to your lenders again.
Right.
Things have changed. Listing the houses, listing agents. If I do get an offer, I do call the lender every single time now because we don't know if that person's still working. We don't know if they're laid off, if they're furloughed. Things change in this dynamic environment, and you have to be able to adapt to that. So yes, it is very important to work with somebody that actually pre-approves you and runs your numbers, not just gives you a general idea and writes you a letter. That's not going to work in this new market. And if you're a buyer and that's what you have, I suggest that you dig a little deeper because you want to have a strong pre-approval in order to get your offer won.
Just helps everyone in the team.
With Lisa and I had a 2-hour breakfast.
Yeah.
And we got into a lot of conversation. Yeah. She's all about the best fit.
Yeah.
Okay. She's all about getting you the right mortgage for the best fit for your circumstances, for your family.
Right.
And that's what I like about Harvey, Harry, all these people. They're very dedicated to making sure their customers get the best possible mortgage.
Yeah, it makes it a lot of fun for all of us. There's no doubt about that. When you have a nice situation, a win-win for everyone, including sellers. We include sellers on there. Oftentimes, the sellers on the homes are actually getting mortgages with us. So we want to make sure, at least big difference when a client has W-2 forms, strong employment, funds ready to close, and great credit. Those 3 criteria, the money to close, great credit, job stability. And job stability is looked upon a lot differently, again, in the last 6 weeks than it was prior to this. But those are people that can definitely move forward quickly. Anyone self-employed out there who's writing off their income, if you sit down with your CPA, and God bless all the CPAs working their butts off out there still, they got a little extension. But again, they're working hard for you to use all the advantages you can to minimize your tax that you have to pay on your income. But again, that's not going to always work for you when you're purchasing a home. Very important that you get back in front of the mortgage person. 248-539-9797. We got lots of time with you. Keep it here on 97.1. We got Pat Caputo coming up with sports right after us all day long here on the ticket. The overall state of the economy might prevent some of us from definitely moving forward right now. Just derailed us a little bit, but in a few months, many people will be cautiously getting back out in the marketplace. Just a little.
It's just it's a temporary hard. It's a month hard to prevent months of hard is what we're kind of experiencing right now. And when we're doing your purchases, we're going to do verifications of employment. There's lots of checks and balances now in place that weren't there before, and it's because we're trying to avoid another giant problem, right? So you have people that are being laid off. You have people that are being furloughed. You have also people that aren't laid off, but their income is now affected by 20% in some cases. So those now affect what you previously qualified for. And some of these transactions are in the middle of happening. So we got to make sure that we're doing our due diligence because as true to our reputation, we're not going to just hand out pieces of paper that mean absolutely nothing to nobody at all at any given time. So we do our job. We're very good at it. And if we do run into these little quote unquote hiccups, we're going to get past it very quickly.
I wrote this down, actually. I wrote down because I've been told quite a lot of this in the last 6 or 8 weeks. What a privilege it is to be working in a business still. And I feel privileged, and I guess. And I think, Doug, just interesting how you have to have some perspective here and look at it. As real estate agents out there, as mortgage people or title people, we're in a really interesting industry. It's very emotional. That's one of the things too. But you know, it's you have to be ethical. It's a privilege to be working with these families. And I think when anyone crosses that line, you know, whether you're a real estate agent or a goofy mortgage person or whatever you might be out there, it's really a hit to all of us in our industry. You know, and if you're in any of those transactions right now, look at yourself and change the way you're going about your transaction. Doug, can you comment on that a little bit?
Well, you know, absolutely. The thing that I've always said is that it's all about people have to trust you, and you have to be totally open in all your communications. Disclose everything, like you talked about earlier, Lisa, with
Right.
the taxes going up.
Yeah.
You know, if your realtor or your mortgage person hasn't explained to you that your taxes are going to be adjusted, shame on them.
Yeah.
Okay. There's great people that are, I've got some wonderful colleagues I work with in the real estate industry. Some of the brokers were all talking about this stuff and how we're going to come out of it alive and thriving.
And it's going to happen. Hey, we're up at 9:41 now. When we come back, all of your calls, we've got open lines, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Dan Burke from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Hi, Harry Glantz and Dan Burke from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Here. But you are listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show. Again, we're talking what a privilege. Yeah, it's a privilege to be here with you folks. And Thanks for tuning in. 248-539-9797. We are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Of course, sports coming up all day long here. We got some great guys in. Doug Andrus, Keller, Williams, Lakeside, and of course, Jacques, Gagnon, and the Gagnon team. It's always great to have you guys in. Jacques, I told you, and that's not a bad haircut. You should have shaved the whole thing off, by the way. But you'll come back this summer.
Sale by owner. Do not try to do these things yourself. Leave them to a professional.
Right, go ahead. Okay, well, you know,
Hey, Harvey,
yeah, Harry. Yes,
any conversation that starts out with, hey, you know, Jacques, that's not a bad haircut. I don't know where it's going from there.
I thought it was going to be worse the way you described
well,
it.
he described it here. Yeah, I'm not picking on him, right? Although Harry knows me to pick on the wrong people at the wrong time, but this one, yeah, definitely not. But I'm glad you brought it up, though. There are a lot of families out there that threw the sign up, again, maybe in the fall, maybe the house is sitting there in the market. They're trying to do it their own. It's not as easy as, as it could be. It could be easy.
No, it's, what we're finding is the last 4 sale by owner conversions I've done, I had 2 recently. I was able to sell the house for more money than what they wanted originally, covering almost the cost of the real estate agent. I took all the stress off of them. They had it listed for a month and a half. I sold it in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Qualified buyers. They didn't have to worry about people coming out of the house. This was before the shutdown. They didn't have to, the house was vacant. The seller didn't have to go there and do all the negotiating themselves and worry about their family. We handled all that. And a lot of times we're able to cover some of the cost. If not, we provide a value where you don't have to worry. There's sometimes it is hard to put a price on sanity and keeping a deal together.
Right.
Sometimes. And going forward, it's going to be more difficult for sale by owner sellers to keep things together.
I'm glad you brought it up, because if you're selling your house also for sale by owner, then you make an offer. You got your house maybe accepted, you're moving forward and purchasing something else. You don't have anyone to communicate with. You don't really know how strong that buyer could be. And all of a sudden the dominoes fall and you're stuck without a buyer 60 days later, and you got to close on your house. There's many reasons. Taking the stress off, number one.
Absolutely. So, just because you have a signed deal, nothing's closed until you get to the closing table.
Right.
We are finding that out a lot. I have had deals fall apart myself in the last few weeks.
It's unfortunate because we do those verification employments the day of closing, and sometimes you find out that person was just laid off. Sometimes they found out that morning, they haven't even called you yet. Stuff happens. I mean, we're not saying that it's always because somebody didn't do their due diligence, but
Right.
we all have to be flexible in this kind of environment, but also be prepared and understand how to handle those situations.
Yeah, and that's why you have to have an agent. And the agent there's a ton of us agents out there. There's good, there's bad, there's ugly, there's great. The reality is we are in this as a team. We have our lenders, we have our appraisers, we have our closers. We are all in this in a team. So this is not a competition. And right now in these times of these deals, we have to keep it together no matter what.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
one
it's
of
gonna.
the things you have to keep in mind too is who's going to save the commission. The seller says, "Oh, I want to save my commission. I'm going to sell it by owner." For sale by owner buyers, Fizz Bob's. Well, let's buy that by owner because we're going to offer less.
Yeah.
because they're not paying a commission.
Right. Correct.
How many? They end up selling typically lower.
Yeah.
Than they would have been by a realtor, and that's been proven in several studies.
Yeah. And one of the things is too, Jacques, that I see often is that people don't know. There's a lack of knowledge. And that's one of our things we stress nonstop. And since I've been doing it, Becky, is the knowledge on the mortgage side, the real estate side. You can get your house listed. You don't have to list it. You don't have to tie it down for 6 months. There's agents that'll say, look, let me work with you for 30 days. Let me show you what I do for 30 days. We can extend from there if we don't get it. Yeah.
30, 60 days, and let's see where it comes out of. Let's see if we're a good feel for each other. I'm going to promote your property as much as I can. What does it hurt? And if you do sell it, congratulations. You accomplished the task that you wanted to, and everybody's moving forward.
One of the things I also recognize most recently is there's so many new people in the industry, but there's some great ones. Boy, I've come across this year more than ever, guys and gals and old folks and whatever you came walks of life that have got into the real estate industry. And they're great. They're great. They're really learned in their first, second year, and they're really doing great things third and fourth year. Better communicators, understand the technology. And again, some of the old timers are really lame. They're out of touch. They don't return your phone calls. It doesn't make it a pleasant experience for any buyer or seller.
This is true. Time on task doesn't always equate to greatness. Okay. There's a lot of great first-year agents. There's a lot of great third-year agents. The reality is if you don't communicate and you don't have a fiduciary duty to your client, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this in this industry, you're still not giving the best example for anybody else that works with realtors, and you're not doing the best thing by your clients or your co-op agents.
Right.
Becky, you chiming in?
Yeah, for sure. I think that right now, the true value of a buyer's agent, it's free. Okay. And in a
Yeah.
time like this, when it is absolutely crazy, having that professional in your corner to set the proper expectations, you can't put a price point on that. Who's going to calm you down when you find out that the seller doesn't want to sell their house anymore because they lost their jobs or they were furloughed for some reason? I mean, you have to have these people in your corner, and literally having a buyer's agent costs you nothing. So, okay, you can
That's a great point, Becky.
And it
You know-
represents the buyer's interest. You know,
Yes.
there's something else to be said. You know, you go to that, people say, I'm just going to put an offer in with the listing agent.
I'm going to throw a rock and see what happens.
The seller, and they're here to make the seller the most money they can.
Hey, just like when we consult for,
Yeah.
where should we go? Where should I get a mortgage from?
Yeah.
And I find out.
Hey, come here. I know you got something to say. Get over.
They've been online and they've found the Dewey Screw and Howe Mortgage Company.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to be local.
We have to redirect them.
Yes.
Okay. And it's so important that your real estate person to say, hey, where are you thinking about getting your money from?
Yeah.
Because you really need to shop the money. Well, we
Mhm.
saw an ad for this on TV and we called up and we've got our pre-approval. I said,
Yeah.
we don't have a pre-approval.
You got a piece of paper. Yeah. So often I'll ask the clients if they do have a pre-approval and they say yes. I said, did you supply your documents? And when the answer is no, then it's more of a pre-qualification. Yeah.
Mhm.
Learn the language, learn what's going on out there. 248-539-9797. If you want to sneak in a phone call here. Doug, as I was mentioning, the home sales growth in February exceeded any expectations we thought of. They were up 6.5%, the highest level, February 2020 here, at the highest level since 2007.
We
Unbelievable.
closed over 300 transactions that month. It was a record February ever.
Yeah. There's no
19
doubt.
Years, a record February.
Doug, Jacques, there's no doubt to think that once we get around the corner here, that things are really going to be gangbusters this summer. You know, some gorgeous weather
With these
on the
rates,
horizon.
It's about the rates.
Yeah, the interest rates are keeping buyers in the game. And, there's always scary situations that happen, but if you are considering buying with the interest rates where they're at, it's very advantageous.
Well, think
I
about
would
this.
just want one more point though. Don't be foolish and think that these rates are going to stay like they were.
Right.
We preached and preached in
Very
March. If you have
very
your
true.
rate, lock it in, and don't think that when these rates settle down, that because they're going to hit their low and then they're going to start to settle and move up a little bit again. So don't be foolish and get caught looking again.
And right now, the rates are very low. Here,
70
guys, I gotta let everybody know out there. Rates right now, when you're talking about mortgage rates on a 15-year or a 30-year fixed rate in the threes, in the mid threes, don't get insane and think that they're going to the twos, the 2%.
Mhm.
It's
No.
not going to happen. What is wrong with a mortgage rate in the mid threes? The answer to that question is nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're that person that is driving 40 miles to save a nickel on a gallon of gas, it's great that you can buy it for 95 cents, but you're spending your time, effort, and energy doing so. And your chances are when you get there, it might not be a nickel cheaper. You can't do that with mortgage rates.
Yeah, you spent the money to get there.
Right. You spend time, effort, energy, and money to get there. Rates, listen, if you get a 3.5 rate, take the 3.5 rate. Don't worry about it. Okay. Move on with your life.
Now, Harry, you remember when it was 18% interest rates.
I do remember I was working at Michigan National Bank at that time. And it was in the 1980, 81, 82
Yep.
range.
Yep.
And I was at Michigan National Bank. And guess what? 18%? Are you kidding me? When
Yep.
People were
I got
still
into
buying
mortgage
houses.
You got some final
When I
thoughts?
got into mortgage banking, rates were at 12.5. I thought when it went down to 11, it was a joke. Okay.
Right now, I never thought in my career I would see rates in the twos.
No. I mean,
It's a great time
how do they
to
make-
be buying.
how do they make money? Right. And how do they make money on the other end? So it only makes sense, common sense, that look, there's an industry out there that with
Mhm.
lending money and servicing of the loans, folks. Again, what Harry's saying is really true stuff here. Take advantage of it, lock yourself in, go and move forward. Jacques, Anna, give me some last thoughts here. As we're getting into the deep spring, we're going to be coming around the corner here. What should people do if you're a seller right now? If you're thinking about selling and buying a house?
So first thing, if you're thinking about selling or buying, stop looking at the headlines you see on your Facebook scrolls around the
Yeah.
news. It's great to be informed, but the reality is a lot of the news that we're getting is scary compared to what reality is. My reality is in the last couple of weeks, I've had a 45 to 55% increase in activity on my listing virtually. People are reaching out. They are looking to buy. Sellers, if you're thinking about selling again, take this time to get the house in order. You can do the walkthrough with your listing. We can do everything virtually. I can give you pointers. I can give you advice on what you should do, how the house should look there. I can even teach you how to take pictures with your iPhone.
There you go. I have no idea how to fix that thing. Yeah.
About selling, why not now? People are looking at their phones now more than ever. They're looking at their devices.
Take advantage of
Get
that.
it online and get some traction for your home.
I like that stuff. All right, be your own advocate, definitely. If you're selling your house, get the professionals involved. I like that. We came away with a lot this show. If you need more information, call us at Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage bank. We're going to get you set up with Jacques Gagnon and the Gagnon team out there at Keller Williams Lakeside. And want to thank you guys for coming in. Doug Andrus, Jacques Gagnon, fantastic. Always Lisa Lawson, Becky Alley at home. And of course, the boss man, Harry Glanz. Want to thank everyone for listening. We got Pat Caputo coming up with sports and social commentary. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket.
Hi, Harry Glanz and Dan Burke from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.